I have a short video request by a patron the other day that talks about agnosticism and atheism. You see, I've done a lot of videos relating to science recently, and I want to stick to that. My channel started off as an atheist channel, and since then I've expanded my topics to cancer, vaccinations, flat earth, anything that denies science really. And now when I do talk about religion, I mostly talk about the science of it, more so on people who deny evolution or the Big Bang, rather than the philosophy of it, like what most other atheist YouTube channels do. Because I feel like science is more so related to what I'm interested in, and also because I'm slightly indifferent on the other topics. Let's say free will, God being good or evil, you know, the topics that dwell more into philosophy or morality or whatnot. So today's video on agnosticism and atheism is not something I normally touch on in this channel. Sure, I must have talked about this at least once in the past, but my channel has since evolved. So it's not often you hear me talk about this kind of stuff, which makes it even more important for me to reveal my thoughts on it.
So recently, I often get this question, but this is quite difficult to answer. Okay, before I tell you about that, let me explain quickly about religions. So this is what the religions in Japan look like. But probably you are not familiar with this, right?
Alright, in the next bit he teaches us a bit about Shinto, which is a faith of the Japanese. I'm going to summarize it here quickly. Basically, the practice involves people believing in kami, which in translation to English could mean God or gods. But in the Shinto faith it refers more to the forces of nature and the qualities of natural things rather than a physical being of a god. It could also include spirits. So in that sense, Japanese people don't believe in a god and are therefore not theists. I can get along with this line of reasoning, but now he's going to tell us if they can be called atheists.
Are Japanese atheists? According to a survey, about 80% of Japanese people practice Shinto or Buddhism more or less, such as going to a shrine or temple at New Year's Eve. Yes, 80%. That sounds a lot. That seems like we are really religious people, right? Technically speaking. But it's actually more like just tradition or ceremony rather than practicing a religion. We don't have any scripture or dogmatic beliefs. So maybe you could say that we are actually atheists. But not exactly, in my opinion. Here's the thing, we rarely talk about religion. It's not even a conversation topic at all.
Well, it's not like you need to talk about religion to be an atheist. That's like saying you need to talk about chess in order to not be a chess player.
Of course, I can't speak for everyone, but at least the Japanese people I asked, do you believe God? Almost everyone said, I don't know, I guess I do, but I've never thought about that. So when you ask random Japanese people, what's your religion? Probably they say they believe in Shinto or Buddhism, but I'm sure they actually know nothing about the religion. So in the end, I wouldn't say Japanese people are atheists. They are more like agnostic. I know, it's probably not 100% accurate word.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say it's an accurate word either, although some people might think it is. Here's my stance. It's been a really long and tedious battle on the definition of atheism and agnosticism. Theists have long been trying to define atheism as a belief that no gods exist, and it definitely gets kind of annoying. It's not only theists who do that, some non-theists also define it that way. Here's my current opinion. I don't really care, at least as much as I used to. If you want to call atheism the positive claim that no gods exist and that agnostic is just not holding a position that a god exists, then fine. I don't care. I'll just go by your definition and call myself an agnostic. Because ultimately, how you define these words doesn't actually change my position. What I do care about, however, is if theists define atheism that way and then act as if that's my belief system. Please, you don't define what I believe just because you've defined a certain word in a certain way. My position will always be, I don't accept your positive claim that a god exists because there isn't enough scientific evidence to convince me. You can call me an agnostic or atheist all you want, but that doesn't change my beliefs. I personally don't think there's much merit in arguing over the literal definition of words when we could be just addressing each other's positions. With that out of the way, here's what I would say the definition of atheism and agnosticism is. Again, I don't care how these are actually defined, but if I had to define them, this is what I would say. Atheism is a claim of belief on whether or not a god or gods exist. Agnosticism, meanwhile, is a claim of knowledge, which means these two words can overlap. You can have a Gnostic theist, an agnostic theist, a Gnostic atheist, or an agnostic atheist. I'm sure plenty of YouTubers have said exactly this, so I won't go too much into it. But if you're sure you have the knowledge of the existence of a god, you're a Gnostic. If you're not sure, you're an agnostic. Atheism, meanwhile, is that you just don't believe in a god or gods. You could have never thought about it for your entire life. You could have never even heard of the word God. But as long as you're not a theist, you're an atheist. So let's get back to the Japanese people. If they have never thought about this, that means they're not theists. So by default, they're atheist. And since they don't claim to have knowledge of the existence of God, they're agnostic. Combined together, they are agnostic atheists. That's how I would define them. However, earlier you said that if you asked Japanese people if they believed in a God, they would say, I don't know, I guess I do. In this sense, they are still agnostic since they don't claim to have knowledge, but they would be theists. If they believe in a God, they're theists. So perhaps you could call them agnostic theists. Anyway, I don't really care too much. At the end, it's all just labels. I can understand people who do care a lot about definitions though, but I personally won't have a problem as long as someone doesn't try to use their definitions in an attempt to change my belief position. So that's all I wanted to say. Agree or disagree with me, leave your comments below. Bye.